Today we're diving into a really critical vulnerability in a tool that, honestly, a lot of you are probably using, the automation platform n8n. And this isn't some minor bug we're talking about. This is a flaw that can turn your super helpful workflows into a golden ticket for a complete server takeover. So let's get right into it.
I mean, this quote from the security researchers at Pillar just says it all, doesn't it? It's so simple and so chilling. It perfectly captures just how serious this is. The very thing n8n is built for, letting you create workflows, could be the exact key an attacker uses to get into everything.
So for anyone who hasn't used it, n8n is this awesome open source tool. It lets you link up different apps and automate all sorts of tasks without having to be a coding genius. It's all about making things efficient. But this vulnerability, which is being tracked as CVE 2026-25049, completely flips that on its head. And here's the crucial part. This isn't about some random attacker from the outside. The threat comes from someone who already has permission to create workflows on your system.
Okay, so how does an attacker actually pull this off? Well, it's a classic technique with a twist, known as a sandbox escape. Let's unpack what that really means.
Think of a sandbox, like a digital playpen. You know, it's this safe, contained area where code is supposed to run and play without being able to mess with the rest of the house, the main system. It's designed to be secure. A sandbox escape is when that code finds a way to climb out of the playpen and suddenly has the run of the entire house, able to execute commands with full permissions. And that is exactly what we're dealing with here.
Now, what makes this whole thing even more concerning is that this isn't some brand new, out-of-the-blue attack vector. This specific vulnerability is actually a really clever workaround of a patch for a similar flaw from late last year. See, the original fix blocked one specific dangerous function, but the researchers found they could get the exact same result by cleverly chaining together a bunch of other, seemingly innocent expressions. It's like they built a whole new key to escape the sandbox. It just goes to show you this constant cat-and-mouse game that happens between security pros and developers.
And this timeline just perfectly illustrates that back and forth. A patch goes out on December 20th. The very next day, just one day later, researchers have already found a way around it. By December 30th, an even better bypass is confirmed. The final, really solid patch didn't get released until the middle of January. This rapid-fire sequence just highlights how persistent everyone was to get this security hole plugged for good.
So, understanding the technical side is one thing. But what about the so what? What actually happens if someone uses this against you? Let's talk about what's really at stake.
The fallout is, and I'm not being dramatic here, it's catastrophic. We're talking total compromise. An attacker could walk away with every single credential and API key you have stored in n8n. They could read and write files on your server, jump over to other services on your internal network, and even take over your connected cloud accounts. Using AI workflows? Yep, they could hijack those too. And if you're in a multi-tenant setup, they could potentially get access to other people's data. They don't just get a foot in the door, they get the keys to your entire kingdom.
Okay, I know that was a lot of bad news, but here's the good news. There is a very clear, straightforward way to secure your systems. So let's walk through that essential action plan right now.
Step 1, and this is absolutely non-negotiable. Update immediately. You need to get onto version 1.123.17 or 2.5.2 or anything more recent. After you've updated, the next step is to rotate your main encryption key. Then, and this is a pain, I know, you have to rotate all of your credentials. Every API key, every token. You have to assume they could have been exposed. And finally, take a good hard look at your workflows. Audit everything, and look for any expressions that seem weird or unfamiliar.
So what if you absolutely, positively cannot update right this second? Well, there are some temporary workarounds, but I need to be crystal clear here. These are just Band-Aids. They do not fix the underlying risk. You can, for instance, limit workflow permissions to only your most trusted users or run n8n in a more locked-down environment. But again, these are stopgap measures. The only real, permanent solution is to update.
All right, let's zoom out for a second. Why is this one vulnerability causing such a stir? Well, it really has to do with the bigger picture of n8n's growing popularity and what that means.
As of right now, there are no public reports of this specific flaw being used out in the wild. But, and this is a huge but, that does not mean you can relax. Because n8n has become so popular, it now has a giant target on its back, and you can be sure cybercriminals are already actively scanning for vulnerable servers using other known exploits.
And if you think that's just a theoretical threat, I want you to look at this number, 33,000.
33,000 is how many potentially malicious requests a security firm saw targeting a completely different n8n vulnerability, one called n8n, in a single week. This is hard proof. Attackers are out there, right now, actively and aggressively hunting for any weak n8n instance they can find. They're already knocking on the door.
And all of this really brings us to the big, final question we all need to think about. These automation tools like n8n, they are incredible assets. They give us the power to build amazing things, but that power comes with a huge amount of risk. This whole incident is a really stark reminder that we have to ask ourselves, as our tools get more and more powerful, what are we actually doing to make sure they stay an asset and don't become our single greatest liability?